Hi, this is Dennis with Second Chance Tackle. Today I have the opportunity to work on a KastKing. A lot of folks ask me about these reels, and I think they're very nice reels, and especially for the price point, I think there's good value in these. This is a KastKing Megatron. It's the 60 size. The 60 size reel holds about 300 yards of 20-pound monofilament. It has a 4.5 to 1 ratio. It holds on braid about 370 yards of the 16-pound line. So very nice reel all around, very smooth. It's got 7 ball bearings, but be aware that to look for where they are, there's the 3 ball bearings that mean an awful lot, which is 1 on each side of the main gear and 1 on the pinion gear. And then there's 2 ball bearings in the spool, and there's 2 ball bearings over here, and then of course you have that instant anti-reverse. Well, today's episode really is going to deal with how do I set the bail trip lever on this reel. I guess there's a couple of questions that come in, so we're going to show you how to do that, and hopefully by the end, if you have one of these bail mechanisms, well, you'll be able to do just that. So I like to take the spool off first. Whenever I work on a bail, my preference is to take the rotor off. Now you don't have to do that, and particularly with this one you don't have to do that, because you can detach the bail arm from the rotor. But you know what, with me it just seems like the rotor is always moving when I try to put pressure on it. It's not that hard to take the rotor off, so that's what we're going to do. We're going to remove the sprocket and the spool shim washers. That's going to give me the tie down for the rotor nut. That's a Phillips head screw right here. And we're going to take that one out. And then we're going to find a wrench so that we can remove that rotor nut. When I do that, I like to put my pieces in a central place. I like to put them into a parts tray. In this case, all the pieces are black, which is not, it's melding right into my, my little work area there. Let's see if we can get a wrench in. I think that's probably going to be a 12 millimeter. Yeah, so if you're having a problem with this and it doesn't turn in one direction, turn it in the other direction. In this case, this is a reverse thread, so you're going to turn it clockwise or away from you in order to remove the rotor. Once I take that rotor off, then you'll see it's got a nice sealed area that's containing the anti-reverse gear mechanism, it's containing the pinion gear, and it's containing the ball bearing drive to it. So it's a pretty nice sealed reel, but the question of the day is, how do I set the bail spring arm? So we're going to go ahead and do that. Next up, you want to take the bail off of the bail arm. To do that, we're going to use a Phillips head screwdriver, but you could also use a flat bladed screwdriver if you don't have one. Now you'll notice that I'm holding this whole assembly very tight here, because I have 2 ball bearings and a line roller that when I pull this off, I don't want those flying all over my desk. So be aware of that as you take those screws out, and then I like to put them right back into the tray again so that I don't lose those. Well, there's the shim washer. And if you have any question, this reel does come with the exploded schematic diagram, and that diagram will help you to locate where it goes. But there's a flat washer that goes in this assembly first. Here's our line roller. Here's the ball bearings, 2 of them. And if you don't take them out, well, chances are they're going to fall out. So just from what I've learned, just take them out of there. You put them back when we go to reassemble this. So we have the 2 ball bearings and that line roller. I'm going to take all of them and I'm going to put that right next to those other pieces. All right, with that out of the way now, I can remove 2 pieces. I'm going to show you the setup of this by removing this little side shield, and then we'll show you how to set it with the others. So the first one, you can use either a Phillips head or a flat bladed screwdriver to take the small mounting screw out of the way. This one seems to work better with that little Phillips head screwdriver. Okay, let's see if we can get that off easy enough. Yeah, we'll want to take the rest of this off. Okay, grab a screwdriver and back this off a little bit on your bail arm. That should free up the side plate so that you can remove that. And here's your setup. So you would want to see how this works from the bottom end of this. So this is kind of a traditional setup in the way that they put bail arms together. We have a long spring, then we have a metal rod that goes inside of that spring, and on the tip of that rod you're going to have a 90-degree angle coming out. A second one now, we have a Z-bar. We have a long arm that extends under the case. That's going to be your trip lever. It's going to come over here, and what that trip lever is going to do, when it comes down, it's going to ride up on this ramp right here. You can see how it rides up on the ramp, and that's going to push the bail arm back. So it's going to close the bail for you with the assist of the spring. Let's see if we can show you how that spring compresses. When I push down, you'll see how it opens up and compresses, and you'll see that that arm goes all the way to the bottom. Now when it hits the ramp, it's going to push that up and fire the bail back. Okay, so let's show you how to set that up if you happen to have had a broken arm. That's usually what breaks, or a spring, but most of the time it's that little arm that somehow manages to snap off. And speaking of off, I'm going to take this other side off just because it's a little bit of a wrestling match. You don't have to. You can leave it out of the way, but to me, I just prefer to take it off at that point. There's no screws or anything. This is what I call a dead arm. It's on the opposite side. Okay, so let's look at our parts then. Let's assume that for a moment you've had your reel apart. Now you've got an empty cavity here, and you're saying, how in the world do I reset all of this? So these are your parts. You have the, I'll call it the S or the Z, depending on which way you want to put that. You have a very long arm. That's the one I just showed you that goes under the rotor and is going to be pushed up and down. And you have a short carry arm. So let's put that in first. That's easy enough. It just lays to the side. The long arm goes below, and then you have that tag end is sitting out here. Now the bail arm, and here I have, first I've loaded the metal arm in, and I've taken the spring with the metal rod and I've put that into the bottom of the case. And I've taken my bail arm, found the small hole, and put the arm into that. And then I take the assembly and I push down on it so that it locks in with the bail, just like that. We'll take our mounting screw for the bail arm. This is a flat-bladed screwdriver. I'm going to tighten that up. So you're going to find this bail fire mechanism is not unique to KastKing, that there are plenty of variations on this. So if you have a bail like this where you have that firearm, then you can use the same kind of practice there. All right, we're going to set that side case in. I'm going to go to my parts tray and grab that little set screw. And then we can put that little set screw back in here. Okay, now when we flip it, we should see that it comes down. That's in the fire. It's going to run up on the ramp. The ramp is going to trip it and fire it back. Okay, we got a couple of things we need to do though, right? We want to put the rotor back on, we got to put the bail arm on, and we got to put the rest of the assembly on. So let's start by putting the bail arm back on. This is what I called the dead end, and it just comes on here, and the other screw goes on. Those Screws appear to be identical, so it doesn't seem like one or the other matters. I'll just do that. Make sure that it moves nicely. Next up, we're going to take those 2 ball bearings in the roller. We'll get that on. Second one on. Remember what we said? We had this other little shield. That whole assembly will fall right into that cup, and then we can take our bail tie down screw and we'll put that in so that we can seat that with the bail wire, and then we can mount this back onto our reel. Make sure that you have that up and tight. Remember, this came off in a clockwise manner, so it's going to go back in a counterclockwise manner, so you want to turn the screw towards you as you go to tighten that down. And you need to make sure that it doesn't cross thread as you're putting that on. If my big hands are getting in the way, I apologize. I am just basically using a hand tightening. Okay, after you finish tightening it up, we have that little clip loop that goes on again. That tie down. Let's go ahead and do that. You got to line that up. We have the screw that's going to go on next. We're almost done. So it doesn't take that long to do, but you should take your time, use your patience, and that's the best way to get good results. The click ratchet, they call that the click ratchet because there's a little spring mechanism under here that's going to click when your spool is turning backwards. We have the 2 spool shims. Those spool shims are there to control the line height on your spool. So if your spool is not spooling evenly, if you're gathering all the way up to the top or gathering on the bottom, you want to add or remove these shims accordingly, and that'll keep your line nice and even as you work your reel. Okay, we put this back on, then we'll show you how it operates. So remember what we said. Now I'm going to flip this. That's going to push that long bar down, and as this runs through, it's going to catch the ramp. I guess I'm on the ramp right now. And there you go. It's just going to flip over. So we're going to just roll it. It's going to flip, and that's how you do it. So that's how you install the bail spring on this KastKing Megatron and other KastKings that are running that same coil and metal arm structure as the firing mechanism for the bail. So I hope you've enjoyed that. I'd like to take a moment to thank our first responders, uniformed personnel, and everybody working to keep us safe during the pandemic. Your efforts truly are appreciated. To all who have watched this, please stay safe, stay well, and stay watching. I hope you've enjoyed this. This is Dennis with Second Chance Tackle. Thank you for watching.